right, here we go. Happy Friday, everybody. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Hope you're all getting set to have a fantastic weekend and another loaded show coming your way. Coming up, a big Eagles offensive coordinator search update, an intriguing interview with a sneaky good candidate not blocked by the Chicago Bears. One candidate who we thought was out of the mix is now potentially back in the mix. It's all coming up right now. But first, this is why you subscribe to the channel. This is our 8th show of the week. We'll also have some shows coming your way throughout the weekend as well. And every step of the way throughout this big Eagles offseason, I have you covered with elite Eagles coverage. And during this Eagles offensive coordinator search, whether it's a long-form show like this, a YouTube short, a live show, we've also been covering all of the latest updates on this Eagles OC search. So who's doing it like Eagles Now? I don't think anybody is. That's why you got to lock us in and hit that sub button. So a big topic of conversation this week. Is this Eagles offensive coordinator job desirable, right? Because Mike McDaniel wasn't really interested after a virtual interview with the Eagles. Brian Daboll, according to reports, doesn't really want this Eagles OC job, but we'll talk about him coming up here in just a moment. I do think this gig is a good one, and I think it's an attractive job for somebody who can deal with pressure, but can coordinate an offense that has a lot of talent for an organization that won a Super Bowl in 2017, made it to another Super Bowl in 2022, won a Super Bowl last year. And if you can deal with some of that aforementioned pressure and you want to become a head coach, whether you were a head coach once before and you're trying to get back to that, or you want to elevate to become a head coach of an organization at some point, this job will make you battle tested, but this job can be extremely rewarding. And for an offensive coordinator candidate, this is a team that is loaded with talent at the skill position spots. You get to coordinate an offense that is led by a Super Bowl MVP in Jalen Hurts, who anytime he's had a competent offensive coordinator, 2022 MVP runner-up, made it to a Super Bowl, 2024 won Super Bowl MVP, he's played at a really high level. Two recent offensive coordinators have gotten head coaching jobs, Shane Steichen after 2022, Kellen Moore after last year. You have the best general manager in football who's going to put together a really good roster for you. Nick Sirianni's had a ton of success. Say what you want about him. 5 years as the head coach, 5 playoff appearances. 4 straight years, double-digit win seasons. 2 division titles, 2 Super Bowls, and that Eagles team last year shellacked Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, ending their quest for a dynasty. Furthermore, you know that this team will always invest in their offensive line. Are there some question marks there? No doubt about it. And we'll talk a little bit about that here coming up in just a moment. You have maybe the best owner in the NFL in Jeffrey Lurie, major market to get attention and buzz. You're going to play a lot on primetime, so all eyes will be on you from a national standpoint. And do you want to compete for a Super Bowl? Do you want to play in big game after big game? Do you want to have an opportunity to hoist a Lombardi trophy and play a critical role in that success? If all that sounds good, you can check off a lot of boxes with this Eagles offensive coordinator gig. So that's why I think it's a desirable and attractive job. Of course, there are some negatives to it. There are some pitfalls, and this can be a challenging job for some people. But if you are built different, and if you don't let some of the media pressure and some of the fan pressure impact you, you can have a lot of success as the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Some candidates, they might shy away from it. They might be scared away by it because Kevin Patullo, after 1 year, got fired and his crib got egged. Is this a tough gig? Yes, multiple things can be true. But I think that the pluses and the advantages and the good elements of this job far outweigh some of the negatives and the pitfalls. So keep that in mind when the Eagles are going throughout this offensive coordinator search. And yes, some candidates are going to not be interested in this job, and that's fine. For Mike McDaniel, he's now in the running for that Bills head coaching job. But if he goes out to LA, he gets to coach Justin Herbert. He gets to coach under Jim Harbaugh. He gets to hang out in Manhattan Beach. He doesn't have to worry about his house getting egged. He doesn't have to deal with anybody really caring about the football team. He can go out and coach a very talented quarterback for a team that's going to be a factor in the AFC. I don't blame him because this job isn't for everybody. And because this job isn't for everybody, I don't want somebody coming to Philadelphia to be the offensive coordinator if they're not built for it. So when you examine the truths here, yeah, Philadelphia is a hard city to coach in. The pressure for some people is a lot to deal with. I grew up in Philly. I kind of like pressure. I think the competition brings the best out of everybody. I know how this city is built, and I know that not everybody has tough skin, thick skin, and not everybody is built to last in the city of brotherly love. The organizational power structure, it's definitely unique with Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, but also veteran players having a lot to say. And yeah, Nick Sirianni is a polarizing head coach. You know what Nick Sirianni's done, though? 5 years, 3 coordinators have gotten head coaching jobs. Christian Parker just got a defensive coordinator job yesterday. And what Sirianni has done, he's led coaches to finding success and elevating within the coaching ranks. Now, ESPN did an article this morning on where this Eagles offensive coordinator job ranks among the other openings across the NFL. Jeremy Fowler, Ben Solak of ESPN ranking those top OC jobs. And in order, they have the Ravens, Titans, Giants, Eagles. Those are desirable gigs for sure. I do think that the Ravens job is number one because the opportunity to coach Lamar Jackson for an organization that has a great owner, GM, that's always going to have a really good defense, that's a desirable job. But are we really going Titans and Giants over the Eagles? From a pure football standpoint, I think the Eagles are better. But there are some valid questions, which I teed up a little bit ago. Does A.J. Brown get traded? For an offensive coordinator candidate, they probably want to know, okay, am I going to have one of the top 5, top 10 wide receivers on this team who's been disgruntled? And if he is disgruntled and on this team, how does that affect me? Is he going to be on the squad? A coordinator wants to know that. What is the future of Lane Johnson? Philadelphia has won like 70% of their games with Lane Johnson. Without him, that winning percentage is sub 40%. So the future of this Eagles offense also can hinge on the health of Lane Johnson as well. And so those questions combined with the questions that a coordinator might have about this city, it's all valid. Now, here's what Ben Solak said about this Eagles offensive coordinator job. This job has been the equivalent of the defense against the dark arch job at Hogwarts, with a new coach occupying the role in each of the past 4 seasons. In other words, anyone taking this gig should do so without dropping deep roots. Expectations are high for any coordinator in Philadelphia, as the Eagles have enjoyed multiple Super Bowl runs in the Jalen Hurts era. But if the split from wide receiver A.J. Brown continues to fester, scheming that offense gets much trickier. It's not a bad job, but it is a charged one. There's a reason other spots are getting filled first, and there's reasons why other coordinators are declining this Eagles job. But do you want to come to Philly? If you want to come to Philly, yes, you might have to be built a little bit different. As I said, as Solak alluded to, and he's an Eagles fan, I believe, you must be tough. You have to deal with pressure. But if you can deal with all of that, man, this job can be rewarding. Do you want to become a head coach? Then you've got a great opportunity to use this job to elevate to another great gig and ascend in the coaching industry. Now, here's where things get interesting. Here's Jeremy Fowler on the Eagles OC gig. Philly's search has been all over the map, and the team is still submitting requests for interviews. I'm not totally convinced former Giants head coach Brian Daboll is off the table, though there's not much buzz there at the moment. Chicago offensive coordinator Declan Doyle is a name to watch. The Bears did not block Philly's request to interview Doyle, which means he's free to make the lateral move. Some see him as a head coach material, and this job can be a springboard if the new play caller improves Jalen Hurts' performance. So with what Fowler reports there, 2 OCs to focus on for today's show. And I just saw the notification. Bobby Slowick is interviewing for the Eagles OC job today. We've talked about him, former Texans OC, Dolphins pass game coordinator last year. So coming up here, we're going to talk Declan Doyle, Bears offensive coordinator, and it looked like Brian Daboll was not in the mix. Now he could potentially be back in the mix. We'll talk about the former Giants head coach as well. Let's first get to our sponsor, though. Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is made possible thanks to our friends at Prize Picks. The big game is almost here. And there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next year. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. You can also find your community on Prize Picks. What I love about this app, it always evolves. It always has cool intricacies to it. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. Join the millions of users and sign up today for America's #1 sports pick app. Championship Sunday coming up this weekend. Let's do a 4-pick power play. On the AFC side, Denver, New England in Mile High. Cortland Sutton, Stephon Diggs more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. And then on the NFC side, Seattle, Los Angeles, Kenneth Walker, Puka Nacua more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. It's as easy as that. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So we first heard about the name Declan Doyle yesterday. Who is Declan Doyle? First of all, if he gets this job and this offense starts to hum, Delco Declan shirts, we're definitely going to have to sell those here on Eagles Now. Hired last year as the NFL's youngest offensive coordinator, and the head coach of the Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson, hired him. So you think about Ben Johnson, his offense, it is dynamic, it's modern day, it's creative. I love some of the concepts. Shoot, that Bears offense steamrolled the Eagles back on Black Friday, which led to Kevin Patullo's house getting egged. The Bears ran for 274 yards. All the pre-snap motion, all of the creativity, and so Declan Doyle has been able to learn from Ben Johnson. Guess who else he's been under? Previously coached under Sean Payton, another one of the top offensive minds in the league. He was with him with New Orleans and with Denver. So Doyle's path, it has been a quick ascent at Iowa under Kirk Ferentz, student assistant, 2016 to 2018. With the Saints, offensive assistant, 2019 to 2022. When Sean Payton got that job with Denver, he's talked about Declan Doyle being a young, bright offensive mind. He took Doyle with him. Broncos tight ends coach, 2023, 2024, after Sean Payton had that one-year hiatus, and then Doyle, the Bears offensive coordinator, in 2025. And when Jeremy Fowler says that Doyle is a name to watch, I think you have to put stock into that. I think Fowler's hearing that, yeah, Doyle is a legitimate candidate for this job. An issue that some people will have, and a concern that I will have as well, is that Doyle has no play calling experience. And that is definitely a risk. But if you hit on Doyle and he works out, the ceiling for this offense is extremely high, especially if he can introduce some of the schematic concepts and a blend from both Ben Johnson and Sean Payton. That's something to be excited about. And think about this Jeffrey Lurie run and regime, right? Andy Reid in 1999 was a little-known quarterbacks coach for the Green Bay Packers. He wasn't anybody's #1 candidate. Worked out pretty damn well. 14 years, 5 NFC Championship game appearances. Doug Peterson came out of nowhere to get the Eagles head coaching job in 2016. Year 2, won a Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni was not on anybody's list as a head coaching candidate. Year 2 made it to a Super Bowl. Year 4, he won one. So a lot of people are kind of panic-stricken right now about this Eagles OC search. We're missing out on Mike McDaniel. I think this Eagles organization, they know what the hell that they're doing. As for Brian Daboll, he's got some options. He's in the running for that Bills head coaching job. He was the offensive coordinator for Josh Allen, and they had some top 10 offenses. The player who Josh Allen is now, Brian Daboll helped develop him. So I think that move makes a lot of sense, and Josh Allen's going to have a lot of say as far as who's the next head coach of Buffalo, because they're feeling a lot of pressure to try to capitalize on this Super Bowl window. If Daboll wants the Titans offensive coordinator job, Robert Saleh would love to have him, and here he's in the mix for Philadelphia. So this is an experienced play caller who oversaw those top 10 offenses in Buffalo. Josh Allen, coming out of Wyoming, was like a 55% completion rate guy. He was far from the player who he is today, and Brian Daboll helped to turn Josh Allen into the cat who we see as an alien at the quarterback spot right now. He's coached under Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. I love that resume. He was Jalen Hurts' offensive coordinator at Alabama. So there's familiarity with the quarterback. He also coached Devontae Smith at Alabama, Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants. I do think that familiarity helps. He worked with Nick Sirianni in Kansas City all the way back in 2012. And Sirianni has said that Daboll is one of his mentors. He was named the NFL Coach of the Year in 2022. He'll do some things differently than what the Eagles have done on the offensive side of the pill. One concern I do have is that after 2022, when he was the Coach of the Year, this Giants team's really struggled, but maybe he's a better OC than he is a head coach. Also, the Giants last year, dead last in the NFL in pre-snap motion, which is an interesting note. As for some search intel here for the Eagles, I know some people are like, man, this search has taken a really long time. The Eagles want to make sure that they get this candidate right? And so the Eagles hired Kellen Moore after the 2023 season, 12 days after they were done playing. That disastrous wildcard loss against Tampa Bay. Today would be that 12th day. Eagles aren't going to hire an OC today. So be patient, exercise that patience, and know that the Eagles really want to get the best candidate available. Here's what Ben Johnson said about Doyle or other assistants potentially leaving. I know we already have some slips coming through that other teams would like to interview some of our guys, and I'm all for it, man. I want these guys to continue to ascend. Anything I can do to help them out, I think they all know I'm more than willing to do that. Some teams will block candidate interviews. The Bears did not do that with Declan Doyle. So that is the most recent Eagles offensive coordinator update. Declan Doyle, a name to watch. Brian Daboll, still a possibility. Bobby Slowick interviewing today. Before we dip on out of here, don't forget to give me a follow on social media. In addition to giving you top-notch coverage here on YouTube, I'm always talking birds on my social media pages. On X, we're humming, closing in on 21,000 followers. Instagram closing in on 47K. Just started my TikTok page in November. We're almost at 10K there as well. And on Facebook, you can find me, Chase Senior Chat Sports, 18,000 followers there. Don't forget to hit that sub button. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. We'll be live a little bit later on this Friday afternoon on January 23rd, so we'll see you soon.